People, welcome to Newspaper Breakdown. It is the 18th of the 1st, Wednesday, Prime Minister's Questions Day. If you watched it, you'll know it was shit. One of the most impressive things about Sunak is his continual ability to make it seem like the concept of empathy has never even crossed his fucking mind. It is there has to be part of an upbringing where you become a Tory MP, where compassion and empathy have been fucking beaten out of you. Terrible. Anyway, we've got quite a few news stories to get through. Some big things as well. We'll start with the Taliban. Always fun. The Taliban have started using Twitter's paid-for verification feature, meaning that some Taliban members have a blue tick, which probably makes them feel all warm and fuzzy. Before Musk took over, the blue tick indicated active, notable and authentic accounts of public interest. But since Musk has taken over, you can just buy it. And the problem is that it really does affect the algorithm, so that if you've purchased a blue tick, you get seen more. Now you've got 2 Taliban officials and 4 Taliban supporters all have blue ticks, which is continuing the trend of Musk allowing the worst people. And we all know Twitter is a fucking shit show as it is, but he's allowing the absolute worst. No more is it just the monkeys. Now the organ grinders are allowed on Twitter, getting a blue tick and spreading their fucking bullshit about. That's a very quick story on the Taliban. We now have more news on the online safety bill. The Culture Secretary, Michelle Donnell, confirmed new amendments after pressure from Tory backbenchers, including that tech executives who connive in ignoring regulatory warnings to protect children online will face up to 2 years in prison. This is tech companies are of course against this, suggesting that if you start threatening tech executives with jail, we'll get less investment in the country. The new investment will target senior managers who ignore enforcement notices from Ofcom, which at this point I don't think's bad. Myself, I think if you're being told time and time again that you have to protect children online from harm and you actively ignore it, then yeah, fine. Breaking the law, you get in trouble for that. Tech companies will include social media and search engine firms. The difficulty here is whether or not you're actually going to be able to do anything. Because it's all well and good saying, oh, well, you're actively going against it. You're actively not working towards protecting children, but you have to prove that someone is conniving, and that's going to be difficult. We already know how fucking bad the police are. The bill looks to protect children online from content such as self-harm, promotion, and eating disorders. Again, this particular thing for protecting children, all for it. I think if you want to protect children online, dial up. We have a separate internet just for children, and it's fucking dial up. Now, when I was growing up, that was a good way to stop me from doing anything online. Under further changes of the bill, video footage showing people crossing the channel in small boats in a positive light will be added to the list of illegal content that tech firms must proactively prevent. And there it is. With all of these bills, everything, you start off by something that the majority can agree with. Yes, we should protect children online. They shouldn't be inundated with abuse. They shouldn't get continual posts about how self-harm is fun, how you're too fat, you're too thin, you've got the wrong shade of blue eyes, all of this bollocks. Children should be protected. They shouldn't be groomed. Yep. Shouldn't be child porn. All of that. Tick, fucking tick, fucking tick. And then there's always that fucking hidden bit. Always the hidden bit. And this is it. Showing people crossing the channel in small boats in a positive light. It's madness. That's going to be illegal. Suggesting these people are human fucking beings who are running away from war and just trying to fucking survive another day is now illegal. That seemed a bit weird to everyone. Firms must now, and if firms don't proactively prevent, then we can assume that they will go in the same way as not proactively trying to stop child porn, which is fucking weird. Right, the next story is heavy, because it is the retained EU law bill, which is back in the news as today it's returning to the Commons. The bill plans to revoke or review around 4,000 pieces of EU origin legislation that have roots in the UK's membership to the EU. Now, we want to review or revoke by the end of the year. It's not going to happen too much, too little time. It's facing stiff opposition from businesses, legal experts, civil servants, trade unions, and conservation groups. But Jacob Rees-Mogg is a fan. This is another attempt by Brexit supporters to destroy the fucking country through their own ignorance. The bill requires all secondary EU-derived legislation to be reviewed by Whitehall by the end of the year, which, as I say, is not going to happen. Too much, not enough people. And some of this is complicated bollocks. It covers everything from the Working Time Directive, which regulates employment conditions, to rules on chemical usage and conservation areas. So this is massive. This is fucking everything. We're looking at like 4,000 separate laws covering everything. And by the end of the year, they're all going to be reviewed, and they are either going to be revoked or they're going to be brought into the UK under UK law. Ministers, however, still cannot say how many laws are to be covered by the legislation because they do not know. So they're coming up with this bill. They're saying, right, we need this bill. This needs to be done. We need to look at all EU laws. Okay, then how many are we looking at? Fuck knows. Because we're being led by such a level of incompetence that you're surprised that they're not making toast in the bath. Any legislation not converted into UK law or revoked by the deadline will be automatically dropped off of the statute book. So for very complex laws, it could be moved to 2026, although Brexiteers have said that this will be used sparingly. So everything that isn't done in time for the end of the year, apart from a select few things, will just be gone. So that includes data protection, cybersecurity, consumer rights, intellectual property, tax, public procurement, insolvency, agency workers, working time, equal pay, construction, real estate, commercial agents, every fucking thing you can think of. If it's not done in time, it's gone. Chaos doesn't even begin to fucking work in this. You go back to Cameron's tweet of vote for us or chaos with Ed Miliband. This is chaos with Ed Miliband timed like 78 fucking million. It is, of course, as we see time and time again, an attempt to remove democracy. This government, Tories, do not like democracy. This newfangled Tory. We say 2000, I mean, we've always seen an attack on democracy from anyone in power. That's what they like, to hold on to it. But especially since the 2016 Tory, that fucking lunatic has really ramped up the dislike of anything British. I'm not saying that I like the 2010 Tory. I don't. Austerity is one of the worst things to happen. I blame austerity for Brexit and for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. It is a removal of democracy. Clause 15 of the bill enables ministers or devolved authorities to revoke any secondary EU law and replace it with such a provision as the relevant national authority considers to be appropriate and to achieve the same or similar objectives. Now, that's a lot of words that are fucking meaningless. Basically, what it means is you are giving ministers the power to do whatever they want. You are removing what the reason we have a parliament is. Because if a law is to go through, it has to go through Parliament. It has to be voted in. But what they're saying here is that if and when this particular bill goes through, ministers can just go, right, we remove this, and we put this in. It is taking away our democracy, as is a continuation of what the government loves to fucking do. The end of that bit. Quite a long bit. Quite a lot of stuff in there. It's shit. Two more stories. So this week the government claimed that the International Labour Organization backed their anti-strike bill, but after a small amount of detective work by journalists, and by saying that, what I mean is they asked them, it turns out to be a lie, as the ILO made it clear they did not support the bill. So that was just a cheeky lie by the government. We can add it to the incredibly long list. Finally, the Church of England has rejected demands to allow clergy to conduct same-sex marriages, but proposed that couples who married in a civil ceremony may have their union blessed in church. Get rid of religion. It's a pointless thing, and stop allowing them to have so much say. If you're not going to get rid of it, take away their fucking power, at least. There is nothing. It's the pick and choosing that gets me when it comes to religion. The whole, the Bible, people are, well, God is against homosexuals. God's against you wearing jeans, dickhead. Like, why are you picking and fucking choosing? You're going, well, this one's absolutely solid. Oh no, he absolutely fucking hates. He absolutely hates gays. Absolutely fucking hates gays. Doesn't like shellfish either. Oh no. He's fine with me having a prawn cocktail and wearing some jeans. But he absolutely hates. No, it's you are using. And it's one of, like, my favourite fucking quote of all time is Voltaire's "Man made God in his own image," because I personally feel that sets it perfectly into all religion. And we are continuing in 2023 for fuck's sake, to allow a church, a religion, to dictate what we can do in this country. Madness. Get rid of it. Get rid of it all. Anyone who comes up to, like, you be religious in your own home, I've got no qualms. But if you are using religion in a society, run away. Absolutely run away. Absolutely run away. Anyway, I hope you got something from this. I hope there was some interesting stuff in it. I think there is. But bills that remove our democracy I find interesting. So I shall talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.